Also on the internet, it said happily married people will always gatekeep because if they told you the things they do, you'll call the women pick-me's and the men's simps. And it's true. I get called a simp all the time, and I am. I'm simply in love. I'm simply happily married. I'm simply with my best friend, the love of my life. And what you call me don't impact me. And I learned that before social media. I remember in a marriage class at my church, I'm talking about year one, I had, shared that Melissa paid the bills. Because I had paid bills by myself when I lived in my own apartment, but when we got together, it was my bills plus her bills plus the house bills, and I was getting flustered. I was like, ooh. And I was like, listen, I'm gonna just put the money in the joint account, you take care of the bills. She was like, bet. And she did. I remember I was talking about that. One of the deacons was like, you ain't no real man if you don't pay no bills. That was the first sin. You ain't no real man. You ain't no real man if you don't pay the bills. When I came back from Nam, I paid all the bills. And I said, yeah, you right, deep. And went home and did exactly what I was doing. Because the truth is, what worked in his household, work in his household. What worked in mine, worked in mine. Now, you talking about people, me and Melissa, who had a podcast called The Love Hour about love and marriage for years, wrote a New York Times best-selling book about love and marriage, and still we gatekeep. And there's levels to the gatekeep. There's certain things that Melissa and I don't tell nobody, not our family, not our kids, no other couple. It's simply for her and me, and that's the way it should be. There's some stuff that's just for y'all. A relationship is like a fingerprint, like a snowflake. There's stuff that just works for you and her. There's other stuff that social media cares about that we just don't care about. Making plates, I do not care. Melissa don't have to make my plate. I'm hungry. I've been making my plate my whole life. My mom also didn't fix no plate. She just put the food on the stove. When you were hungry, you went and ate. It never bothered me. I'm not gonna make it bother me because it bothers a lot of men on social media. And matter of fact, sometimes I'll make her plate. If she cooks, I'll make her plate. She's like, hey, can you fix me a plate? I'll fix her plate. Y'all go downstairs, fix her plate, bring it back up. Don't make no, never mind. 50-50, whoa, y'all complain about 50-50. We 50-50 from the day we got together. We had to be 50-50. We wasn't gonna make it without 50-50. 50-50 was the only way we was gonna get to 100. And nowadays, there's stuff I do you probably would never, ever do in your life. And that's okay, you ain't got to do it. And stuff she does and did, you ain't got to do. She once gave me a loan for like $9,000 when I was in college. Without her, I wouldn't have finished college. That includes me, the government, and my parents. I was out, my parents said no, the government was tapped out, and she's like, I got you, Kev. And I'm not even saying I would advise you to do that. I'm just saying she did that. You talk about it on social media back in the day, you're like, she's crazy, what the hell, he could do this, and I didn't. And it's the reason I finished college, it's the reason I got a good job, the reason I was able to work at the bank and Boeing is because she did that for me. And that's just the truth. So yes, we gatekeep. There's some stuff we only tell other people who are married. Some stuff we only tell people who are in serious relationships. Some stuff people won't know, won't care about. Bottom line is, I do be gatekeeping.
Listen, I just did a video about this a few days ago. Everything that you do does not have to be shared. And I've never been married. I don't have any children. Just want to be clear about that since this is a married topic per se. I just agree. I think we've gotten so used to people just oversharing. Now we think that people owe us explanations. People don't owe us an explanation. They really don't. Like, I was telling somebody the other day, like, you see so much content. It's like people walking up to strangers and playing pranks on them or asking them questions that make them uncomfortable. And I said to him, like, when people try to come up to me, asking me anything or doing pranks, I just say, no, thank you. And if they persist, I just walk away. Whatever I'm doing, I can come back to it. But I refuse to sit around and feel like I'm obligated to be on somebody's camera or somebody's, platform answering questions or falling for pranks that I don't want anything to do with. Same thing with this conversation about gatekeeping. Some things you just got to keep to yourself. We don't have to share everything. And he's right. I've seen it to where if a woman says something like, oh, this is what I do for my man, you'll get women from out of the woodworks just because they don't like it or they don't agree with it or something that either they can't do or they don't want to do. They go crazy. Like, they just go in a rage fit and start calling her names. Essentially pick-me's, but they got all kind of names for, like, degrading names because she's willing to do something that they're not. And it's like, man, same thing with guys. Like, I think married men and married women should do certain things. That's their wife. I told my buddy earlier today. He said he was trying to work out. At one point, he was trying to work out his marriage, and I'm like, and that's okay. That was your wife. You can fight for your marriage, even though she didn't want to be with you. You have a right to fight for it, and that's your wife. You chose her as your wife. It didn't work out, but I'm like, you shouldn't feel bad. That's your wife, man. So people just feel like at times we feel like our opinions are really that important. Like, man, when I'm married, I don't care about some man saying I'm a simp because I want the peace in my home to look and be a certain way. I don't care. And I hope my wife don't care. I don't want to choose a woman who cares about what her friends and what people in the world have to say about her and what we do in terms of our home. He even said, like, of course he has success. He was talking about some of his success. There are podcasts. I think he's done like skits. He has a big following. New York Times bestseller. Has a book. And he said at one point in time, his wife gave him a loan of $9,000. And I know there are people who have a problem with that. She helped him. He even said going 50-50. God forbid you have a conversation about 50-50 nowadays. People really just kind of jump on you about like, oh, you're not this, you're not that. It's honestly just unfortunate. The thing I do hate to hear the most is hearing Christians talk about this kind of stuff. Because you really start to see just like, man, we are further from God than we need to be. There's not enough work being done in our communities in terms of teaching us and helping us, or us even obeying and listening to the wisdom and counsel shared to help us have healthy relationships that lead to marriage and long-lasting marriages, because we are just regurgitating and eating up the information that the world is spewing out there. But I agree with what he said 100%. There's things you can share, certain people you can share it with, and there's certain things that you don't share with anybody. Like he said, there's certain things him and his wife, they don't share with anybody. Their kids, their parents, it's just between them. Get you a partner or spouse that looks at life like that. Whatever we agree upon that we're not sharing, we're gonna do this together. We're gonna gatekeep. We're not telling this particular person or these particular people this because we're just not gonna share it. Use wisdom, use discernment, keep people out your business. You don't owe society an explanation. You don't owe social media your business. You just don't. No matter, even though it's normative that people are getting on there and oversharing and leaving a digital footprint that follows them for the rest of their life that's unhealthy, you don't have to do it. And if you've done it before, you don't have to continue to do it. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.
Stand on it,